The cosmos is all that is, or ever was, or ever will be. Come with me.
No Man's Sky is surely one of the most anticipated games in recent memory. The previews we've seen over the last few years showed us amazing visuals and the vastness of the galaxy that Hello Games had built for us. However, the excitement for me stopped there. As the months rolled by, we still really knew nothing about the overall gameplay, story, or other important details that flesh out a game. We only knew that it was big, and this is what worried me. Despite the red flags, I was still excited to play. I'm sort of a space geek. I love astronomy and astrophysics and couldn't wait for an opportunity for space exploration in a game on an unprecedented scale. In No Man's Sky, players are meant to explore not only single planets and star systems, but an entire procedurally generated galaxy. Or should I say procedurally recycled. If there's one thing that quickly becomes apparent in the first few hours of No Man's Sky, it's the incredible sense of scale. The main objective is ultimately to reach the center of the galaxy for an unknown purpose. The game begins as the player wakes up stranded on one of the game's 18 quintillion planets. Your first objective is to explore the planet and collect the necessary resources to repair your ship in order to achieve interstellar travel. Doing so involved a large amount of exploration on foot, and as minutes turned into hours it became apparent just how large these planets could be. The scale is exponentially increased once you repair your ship and seamlessly make your way into the vastness of space. Planets in the distance that look close can take real-life days to reach traveling at normal speeds. In the first few hours I was constantly blown away. No Man's Sky truly sells the idea that each player is but a tiny insignificant speck in the cosmos. Once in space, the game really opens up. From there you can navigate your ship to seamlessly travel from one planet to the next, and eventually you can upgrade your ship to travel from one star system to the next. No Man's Sky gives you the freedom to travel anywhere you'd like on the star map given the proper ship upgrades, or you can follow the game's predetermined path toward the center of the galaxy. In all this vastness, loading times are either non-existent or hidden so well that you don't notice them at all. It's truly an incredible technical feat that an indie development team, comprised of 15 people, was able to create a game of this magnitude. Undoubtedly, No Man's Sky's biggest achievement is its vast, seamless universe and its overwhelming sense of scale. Unfortunately, after a few hours of gameplay, No Man's Sky is crushed under the weight of its own scale, and the sandbox universe eventually begins to feel like it's too big for its own good. The main culprit behind this is the sparse amount of compelling activities and lack of gameplay variety. The game's content simply cannot keep up with the galaxy's sheer volume. No Man's Sky at its core is a survival game. Most of the game's activities include mining and gathering resources. These resources can be used to manage and maintain your suit, ship, and multi-tool, and also to build and craft upgrades for your equipment. Some collectibles are only meant to serve as trading commodities to be sold on the galaxy's trade market. You can also purchase items, upgrades, and resources, and even new ships. You'll find most of your energy being spent on managing your insultingly low inventory space, or refueling your ship and your suit's life support system. Each planet has its own unique ecosystem. Some planets have sub-zero temperatures, while others are hot. Some have tropical storms, while others have acid rain and atmosphere toxicity. These things all must be kept under a watchful eye as you explore each planet's terrain. No Man's Sky gives you very loose objectives for each planet. Completely optional, the player can scan and catalog the different species of animal that occupy each planet. There are multiple landmarks to discover as well, from outposts to structures built by ancient alien intelligent species. At each location you could find upgrade schematics, or even learn words of ancient alien languages. The problem with these activities is that they very quickly become repetitive and monotonous. There's very little visual and contextual variety in the game's mechanics and activities. Almost everything happens exactly the same every time. Almost every settlement looks the same. Almost every alien monolith looks and functions near identically. Every outpost, every beacon, every loot box, and every upgrade you find just looks and functions the same way. The more hours you spend in the game, the more you realize that this procedurally generated galaxy is mostly procedurally recycled assets just rearranged in minor ways. It's basically a giant copy and paste job on a different planetary backdrop, and the game doesn't do a great job of hiding it. After a while, each planet begins to feel the same, and that sense of intrigue and amazement that you feel in the first few hours becomes lost. No Man's Sky is also too devoid of life. Most landmarks you come across will have no one to interact with, and when you do finally meet an alien, there's usually just one NPC per settlement. They don't have anything compelling to say, as their main purpose is used for trading or perhaps getting an upgrade or learning an alien word. The NPCs are a copy and paste job as well, as all of them function the same way. Guess the dialogue option. Even the many space stations located throughout the galaxy are empty, again often having just one NPC, sometimes none. I just wish the game had some planets with cities or a metropolis to come upon once in a while to inject some life into the universe. Along with variety, No Man's Sky's gameplay also lacks depth. The game often introduces new and cool concepts that never end up amounting to much. For instance, the system that determines your standing with a particular alien race is pretty cool, but it doesn't amount to anything significant because you rarely encounter alien NPCs. And from what I've played so far, your standing with a particular race only determines the type of favors or items they're willing to give you. The combat in No Man's Sky is also flimsy. On land, you'll encounter security bots that don't offer much of a challenge with average gunplay. In space, you'll randomly encounter hostile space pirates that attack you, usually fighting against 3 to 5 of these ships flying past you at crazy speeds, doing tons of damage, without the maneuverability to properly fight back. No Man's Sky even manages to limit itself in its most important gameplay element, exploration, with the game's survival elements. I'm perfectly fine with having to maintain a life support system or my ship's fuel, but as I mentioned earlier, given such limited inventory space, this becomes incredibly annoying very fast. Once your inventory slots are full, you're forced to discard items, use them on purpose, or go back to a settlement and sell them. I understand their goal was to force players to think about what's most important to them in an attempt to add more depth in the game's survival mechanic, but I think that there could have been a better approach in a game featuring 18 quintillion planets to explore. With no place to store or collect items on a mass scale, the game forces players to stop in their tracks specifically to manage inventory. When you add this to a procedurally generated universe of recycled visuals and shallow gameplay mechanics, you have yourself an infinitely vast and beautiful universe that buckles under its own weight, ambition, and volume. I don't think No Man's Sky is a bad game, but I think Hello Games missed an opportunity to deliver an experience where players can learn the actual science of astronomy and astrophysics while also experiencing a great fleshed out plot of science fiction. I imagine this game being made by Bethesda. Sure, it would be buggy as all hell and probably wouldn't look as good, but the discoveries of plot and side plot would be staggering. Still, No Man's Sky provides an indescribable, addicting gameplay. Even though I know I'm not going to find anything new or crazy, the thought still exists that I might, because it's so big, who knows what might be out there. The game's vague and aimless nature lends itself to that curiosity. The question of what else is out there is a powerful motivator. While I haven't beaten the game, I accidentally read a spoiler for the endgame, so for me it's a pretty big letdown, giving me no motivation to actually reach the center, instead just going to random star systems to see what I can find. Without any story or any depth other than exploring freely, this game absolutely should have been an MMO. Ultimately, No Man's Sky is an indie game with AAA hype. I don't hate the game, but I'm certainly disappointed. I can't recommend the game to everyone, and for all its failings, I have to rate it at a price drop. Unfortunately, this game is not worth the $60 price tag despite its size. So there you have it. Let us know your thoughts on No Man's Sky in the comments below. Please leave a rating on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching.